Hi there. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. If you're new here, have a seat. I want to talk about the last video that I did. So this video that I did was sort of put up like a live stream. It is not my normal work to do that. You know, if you're not new here, you know that I edit things very well. But I did say that that was just like a rush job to give you this case and information, and then we would follow up with more if you wanted to. So the case I'm talking about is this Dusty McKissen is claiming his father is one of the most prolific serial killers of all time. Not only a serial killer, but a mass murderer, a child you-know-whatter, a international terrorist. I mean, it goes on, right? So when I first heard this case, he put up a video that was looked very green, very much like somebody that doesn't do YouTube videos, doesn't know what they're doing, with the camera at a bad angle, and then a big, here, sorry about the camera angle, wearing his gloves, showing you all the stuff that he got out of his dad's camper that he, as people on the Facebook message board are saying, group, that as a Hulk, he ripped open this camper that his dad had hidden. Okay, so there was a comment in here that said that my story was all over the place and that I need better editing and better, I don't know. Anyway, as you know, I actually spend a lot of time on my videos normally, and to the point where it's almost too much. I usually put, oh my gosh, by the time I record, edit, all of that, I probably put 20 hours into a video. So, but you don't get things out very fast like that. So for what I want to do in this series of videos that I'm going to put out is I want to follow each of the cases that he's talking about. And let's fill in the holes. Because in my opinion, this is so damaging, in my opinion, to the families of these victims. The Ketty cabin murder family members, to just bring this up like this and accuse his father, who is Dave McKissen, of all these heinous crimes. It's kind of unbelievable. So out of respect for the actual true stories that he's bringing his father into with absolutely no real proof. For example, Dustin said he Hulk opened the camper that his dad would never let them go in, found a black bag and a black bag inside a black bag with a book on how to learn Arabic fast, some medical books, a whole bunch of cell phones from like the last 30 years. And then he referred to it as a serial killer kit. So I want to show you a serial killer that actually would leave serial killer kits and what they actually were. Israel Keys. He would leave the serial killer kits in places. Across the country, whatever, leave it. Find a victim, bring him to that place, use his kit. Got away with this, okay? A serial killer kit does not have a athletic cup and a bunch of phones and some books. So I don't mean to be rude to another content creator. However, in my opinion, I've noticed since I've had my channel here on YouTube, I've noticed that clickbait is a thing and people swarm to it. And it makes some people a lot of money on YouTube, a lot of money. So, and I think it's very damaging and disrespectful to true victims of crimes. So I want to go through each of the murders that he's talking about. Amber Tarico, I think it's Tarico. I have to double check on that, how it's pronounced. The young 20-year-old in Canada that was abducted and killed. Her story is heartbreaking. There's actually a recording of her calling her brother and giving sort of directions of where she was. Then the kitty cabin murders. There's also another video on YouTube that I came across from 2020 accusing Dustin's dad of women murders down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. To go back another minute, Dustin is a writer. He is big on LinkedIn. He's got some voted the best something or other for his writing. He tells a story in all of his writings. There's an op-ed about how minimum wage is not a good thing to raise, and that his mother was a hardworking minimum wage McDonald's worker. He talks very fondly about his parents. In that article, he talks about his father was a very hard, good worker, but wound up because of what he did with a serious back injury and couldn't work. So his mother went to college, became a paralegal, worked at McDonald's for minimum wage to support their family. So in the history, he's talked extremely fondly about his parents. And now this. And what I don't get is how his wife is going along with this. It's either he's seen dollar signs for some reason. He is a novelist. He has written a couple books that are out there that you can buy on Amazon. In those books, I found another video where he actually brings part of his family history, grandparents' history, I think it's called The Sixth Wife or something like that, into a fictional story. So it's either a huge publicity stunt for this new book, or it's either he's lost his mind, or his father is the most amazing crime-committing dude the planet has ever seen. Because for 40 years, all these different MOs, like his MO has changed. That doesn't usually happen. From a mass murder to a serial killer to a international terrorist. It doesn't, if you have critical thinking skills, none of this makes any sense. And then another thing, back in 2020, a woman on YouTube did release a video about the Indigenous murders. And she brings up Dave McKissen as the suspect. But somebody in the comments says something about Dustin, like you should have him on, or I'll find it right now and show you. But anyway, so she says he's not going to go on any interviews or any channels or anywhere until his book's done. He's not talking about this with other people till his book's done. That was in 2020. Now we're in 22 after COVID. He kind of disappeared for a couple years. What do you think he was doing? Personally, I think he was writing that book. And now I think he's throwing stuff out at you, trying to get you hooked so that you'll go buy the book. That's my opinion. My opinion. His brother has made comments to people that have reached out to him saying that he wants nothing to do with this, that his brother Dustin it's nonsense, and his brother Dustin needs serious help. And I just want to say, I wouldn't be sharing this because obviously his brother is a little bit concerned. I wouldn't be sharing this, but I am, because Dustin already made a comment about it today on his own Facebook that he's well aware of what his brother is saying about him being unstable and it's nonsense, etc. So he's well aware that this has been posted. So when you got a family member that close saying this, and you got all this other stuff from the past that doesn't align with whatever he's saying now, somebody's trying to sell you something. And the only reason I'm going to make this video is to show you the actual real stories. We will go through them as I have time. As most of you know that are regular subscribers, I'm a registered nurse and I work full time. So I don't have a lot of time during my 40 hours of work week. My weekends, I have 4 adult children, 5 grandkids, 2 dogs, and I travel. In fact, I'm getting ready to go to Greece really soon here. So with all that, and I have a travel channel too, but since I don't travel all the time, that is sporadic. But it is called Beyond the Empty Nest if you're interested in watching me travel. There's several videos on there right now from my last trip to Greece. So with that being said, my entire point of the videos that I am going to be bringing you from here on out for the next couple months are to show respect to the victims of these actual crimes that were committed. And some of them actually have been solved according to law enforcement. And from what I can tell, law enforcement is not on board with this whole thing with Dustin, no matter what he says. He tries to tell you that DNA isn't really all what you think it is. My very first video, if you scroll all the way back, was a video from about a young woman whose body was found in Oregon in the 1970s. That person was identified in 2017, I think, identified as Annie. So, and they had always called her Annie Doe, which is really interesting. That was DNA from the 70s. So if a family member like Dustin has provided his DNA to the authorities based on these other murders and stuff that he's claiming his father did, it's not going to be that hard to line things up. It's just not. No matter what he says, that is not true. I work in the medical field. I'm not a DNA expert by any means, but I follow true crime, and I followed a lot of these stories that murders and different crimes are being solved from way back when based on DNA of family members that aren't even the next of kin, like far down the line, and they can narrow it down. So that's a bunch of bull that he's selling you there. Now, again, I normally really appreciate other content creators. I follow so many of them. Obviously, there's some very respectful ones out there. You know, they're Profiling Evil, Kendall Ray, just to name a few. So, Web Sleuths, one of my favorites with Trisha. So there's some very respectful, and Judy Ron. There's some very respectful content creators that bring you real facts and real information. That's what I want to do here with this. I don't want to give Dustin any more limelight. I want to go back to these cases that he is sort of making a mockery out of, in my opinion, and bring you this information to support the true victims of these crimes. So if you're new and you want to follow this, go ahead and subscribe, and I will be bringing them to you ASAP. Thank you so much, and that's just a little introduction about where we're going. Thank you so much for watching Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. Stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.